Harry, this is the Creeper. You don't need me to tell you that. He is incredibly famous. And this is the first issue of his 1997 series. The cover surprisingly works, even with the explanation that this debut issue came out the month where DC were doing close-ups of faces as covers for all their titles. It flat out works as unique and iconic for Creeper. If it wasn't a theme that they did with all their comics, this would stand out much more as a fairly great cover. The colours are tremendous too. They are bright and vivid, perfect for the Creeper. The only criticism for the cover, and this is true of all the face covers, they shrunk down or replaced the logos with a more basic typeset to not draw attention away from the faces. There is some backstory involved in this, and I will explain the Creeper, even though he is possibly the most well-known character to come from DC. But right now, he is in therapy, my opinion of which has come around. It's very prevalent these days to have superhero characters in therapy because they are all broken and flawed depressives. Tom Queen has made a career out of it. It is boring and commonplace, but it thinks that it's clever and subversive to have superheroes in therapy now. Another huge stinker is that therapy in fiction, 9 times out of 10, only exists to provide exposition or to tell you what the character is feeling, because the writer cannot do it through artful means. However, in 1997, it is a lot more novel an idea, and this is a perfect character to do it with. Not only is he crazy most of the time, but he is currently dealing with some trauma. He died and came back from the dead, and this has left him with a lot of baggage. I will explain his death now. It came courtesy of the Eclipso, the Darkness Within crossover, of which he was a key character. He was written quite well in it from what I remember. He was then shanghaied into a suicide squad that launched an assault on Calypso's island base, and he was devoured by hyenas. Creeper's death was huge, and it even inspired DC to try and recreate the death of Creeper a year before Creeper's death with the death of Superman, which was much less successful. Creeper and that Suicide Squad were very gratuitous slaughter. We lost some quite recognisable characters. Pacemaker, Mankiller, some of the Infiniteers, Creeper, obviously. Although I think every single one of them has been undone by now. So here, the Creeper has come back to life. He healed himself and returned. And if you want to get a handle on what Creeper's actual powers are, you would be struggling. They change. His entire setup, it changes with almost every writer who tackles them. I think the problem is that everyone wants to be the guy who added to the legend that is the Creeper. Everyone wants to contribute something to this enormous myth. We have an issue that is largely Creeper in therapy. And despite my own experiences with countless therapies, I have nothing to say about this and no insight to provide. Therapy has never been very successful for me. He is at a mental hospital too. This issue inspired the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And as a matter of fact, that movie was originally titled One Flew Over the Creeper's Nest. But they had to remove the creeper from it because people were getting creeper fatigue back then. There is some promise here, but the writer of this doesn't inspire much confidence. We get the bare minimum, very lackluster, and the ending sinks it. We have a potentially interesting first issue, but the script isn't up to the task. His other work has been lousy too, and he is someone who has a Kurt Busey attitude towards things. We have a symbolic dream, and rather than complain about them, I will use it as a time to fill you in on the history of the greatest comic book character of all. The Creeper was created by Steve Ditman, but another way of looking at it was that the Creeper was bestowed upon us by God through the hands of Steve Ditman. He was introduced in DC Showcase 73, and it is a commonly held belief that DC Showcase only lasted that long because people were excited for the Creeper to arrive. He had his own solo series after that, which ran for 600 issues until the aforementioned Death of the Creeper event. The Creeper is Jack Ryder, an outspoken investigative reporter, and this actually inspired Spider-Man's career in photojournalism, as well as Superman's career as a reporter. They were both ripping off the Creeper. Jack Ryder goes undercover to expose some commie pinkos and puts on a ridiculous costume for his own reasons. He ends up taking some drugs and then becomes the Creeper. Creeper's powers, or even persona, change with every writer. Sometimes he has super strength, sometimes he is deranged, sometimes he is basically being possessed by something, sometimes he has a healing factor, other times he is just a comedy character. One of the more well-regarded Creeper stories is in Joker issue 3. The Creeper actually, and I say this with authority as a former stand-up comedian of many years, the Creeper is responsible for the advent of laughter. Before the Creeper, we just smiled and nodded politely and said, "That is funny." It was the Creeper who first said, "Ha ha ha," and we, as a society, copied that. The Creeper is also a Justice League member, but there is no actual story where he is a member. There's stories with him in, but none where he is a member of the team. Around the 80s, DC realised that it made no sense that their major superhero team never featured their most beloved character. character. So they just started saying Creeper was a member. I guess he is an honorary member. And to be fair, he wouldn't make any sense on the team, because the Justice League would go from being the Justice League of America to Creeper and the rest. I think the best thing about this issue is the art. The art and the colouring of the title character. We have some horror visuals and some craziness mixed in with this tepid and grey environment. I think it is the case that the art is maybe holding up this entire comic, because the twist at the end is so unimaginative. It made me go, I'm not going to bother reading any more of this. It is great to see an icon like the Creeper return not just to life, but to his own series. And I don't think the take on Creeper in this is bad. It is a nice mix of previous ideas, with us wondering if the Creeper is an alternate personality for Jack Ryder, or if Creeper is actually a separate entity that possesses Jack Ryder. That is a good hook, as could the mental hospital be, but he escapes it. Not that he needed to. Jack Ryder was there voluntarily. And the shit thing is, it turns out it is an evil mental hospital. And the therapist he spent most of the issue talking to is an evil demon man thing person. I consistently wanted to like this as I read it. I think there is some great ideas in there, but the writer and the writing and the overall plot, I suppose, is going against what could work. The art, all jokes aside, whenever the Creeper is on page, is exciting and vibrant. Do I recommend this? Maybe. I think it is worth a 7 thumbs up. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.